All right, welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here.
Is it me? Is it me? Is it me? Gabe, the Night Watchman.
And Asjad, not either of them from Cricket for Us 2.0. How you doing, guys? Thank you for having me, as always.
Gabe's not the best paid sidekick in the world for no reason here, ladies and gentlemen. He knows his job, and he knows what to do. Thank you, Asjad, for joining us here. We are looking at episode 2 from the docu-series Bandon Min the Dumb. Sorry for butchering that. And this is talking about the Indian tour of Australia from, what was it, Joe? Was it 1819? 1920?
2021.
There you go. You know, whatever. It is what it is. It happened in the past. And if you missed it, we already reviewed, Asjad and I did review the first episode on his channel, Cricket for Us 2.0. The link will be in the description box. Check that out and then come back here and hear our spoiler-esque thoughts. It's got to be spoiler, right? I mean, come on. It's the docuseries on You Only Live Twice. Now, it takes me a little while here, Asjad and Gabe, but obviously the makers of the series are fans of James Bond, right? We had Skyfall and then You Only Live Twice. Those are 2 James Bond titles. So I see what you guys are doing there. I don't know what the other episodes are called, but I'm curious if they're also James Bond titles. But this is the test in Melbourne, if I'm not mistaken. And this is India coming off the disastrous 36 all-out. Oh, my goodness gracious. Broken arm by Shami. Kohli is, being a dad and being a good husband and understandably so, welcoming his first child into the world. And so Ajinkya Rahane is the captain, and they are trying to find some way to bounce back. Gentlemen, what are your initial thoughts on episode 2? We'll start with the guest, Asjad, first. Don't forget to check out his channel, Cricket for Us 2.0. Like and subscribe. And if you don't, you'll be unhappy for the rest of the day. Asjad, what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you. Thank you for such kind words. My thoughts were that it genuinely showed me the mindset that the Indian team went with after the disaster they had in Adelaide. It was a really nice way to kind of put us into the shoes of Ajinkya Rahane and Ravichandran Ashwin, how they were looking at the game. And I didn't clock it. I did not realize how he got, what was his name? How he got Tim Paine out or how he got Steve Smith out until this series. I was like, wow, this is so they went into things that I find a lot more interesting. So personally, really, really enjoyed this episode. And I liked the way this was a lot more structured than the previous than episode 1 for me, because just it didn't go straight in, right? It had some sort of build up prior to the match beginning. It was more heartwarming about Rahane, about this, about that, about him being calm and practicing in the nets. It was just great. Like I genuinely really, really enjoyed this episode.
So, first and foremost, I think that, and I didn't even pick up on the titles, Nick, and now I see they're going with that James Bond thing, but this should have been titled, the title would have been, the day Ajinkya Rahane saved Test cricket for India, because honestly, I didn't realize I haven't watched this and sat through it. I forgot. You think about the Gabba fall, and you think about everything that happened you know what I mean, down the line in this Test series, but after going 36 all out and being embarrassed in that first Test match, and now again, no Mohammad Shami, no Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, who had been in bad form, got run out in that first Test match. Jeez, that's when Nick started his Rahane can't run pun. Gosh, it's the worst pun ever. But it's funny, right? In the very beginning, he said, people were just astrologers. All of a sudden, all the reporters became astrologers and talk about how I was going to struggle even more because I had been struggling with the bat, and captaincy was going to even put more pressure on me. And Ajinkya Rahane rose to the challenge. You know what I mean? And it should have been titled "The Day," Ajinkya Rahane saved Test cricket for India, because if they go back out and go down 0-2 in this series, and not 36 all out, but 86 all out, whatever. And something that sticks in my mind is, it was funny. They were 36 all out in the first match, right? Then, and spoiler alert, we're jumping a little bit ahead. In their first innings, they were 1 Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Or we'll just mention it right now. After having a great bowling performance and keeping Australia down to 200, right, 195 under 200, you're thinking, well, maybe something's going on with this pitch. So they still got to survive the end of the last day, the 45 minutes. And Patty Cummings immediately, first over, takes the wicket of Mayank Agarwal, right? And then you're thinking to yourself, uh-oh. And then he's just thinking to himself, we just got to get to 36. That's the milestone. And the game ended with them at 36. So technically it could have been 36 because you still got to get to that 37th run. They could have lost, which would have been unthinkable, but they could have had, an unbelievable collapse of all time and still have been on the second day, 36 all out again. You know what I mean? Like, again, that's probably not going to happen, but the mindset was there. But to me, I think that's the first thing that really comes to mind about this episode. It was very Rahane centric, but I forgot what a big role he played. Some other things that I'll bring up later is where I think his captaincy. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna say it right now, his captaincy is better than Kohli. Bottom line, and I think that not just this match, but they end the episode with the question asking the players, whose captaincy do you prefer, Rahane or Kohli?
And Vihari's just like, all right, bye.
Next question. Don't ask me that question. Next question. And you know what I mean? Like, even Tim Paine was like, yeah, I was shocked when Pant did not play in that second innings. I mean, in that first game, because I know Pant. I've seen him play. This guy's amazing. Like, I was shocked he didn't even play. He's so prolific with the bat. So I think that was a poor decision on Kohli in that first test match. Pant would have obviously performed better than Saha did the remainder of the series, and then some other things he did with the bowling. But the other thing is that you said, like you mentioned, the pacing was so much better. They didn't just start you off in the middle of the game smack dab. No, they start talking about how the players, some of them Australian players, wives didn't make it. Like half of the team were out there in the bubble on Christmas. This is Boxing Day. Could you imagine? Like we don't really understand the sacrifices these players made. Now, I've had to make sacrifices, my entire life as an athlete, my kids being athletes, travel, like I understand that, but nothing like with COVID, you know what I'm saying? Nothing with like, wow, not only are you traveling and missing, but now you're in a bubble, you can't go out, and you really felt that was wearing on the Australian players already, and it's tough. It's a tough thing, and I don't think we appreciate enough how this was right at the, in the what do you call it, the peak in the middle of COVID, when COVID was really rampant, and these players are out there to entertain us and sacrificing time with their families. Man, hats off to all the Australian players as well that made that sacrifice, as well as the Indian players.
Yeah, to piggyback on the Pont selection in the second match, Rahane did say that it was only because of righty-lefty type situation or whatever he said. He's like, that was the main reason why. So even he said, like, I wasn't smarter than the room. That's how Pont got in there. And in Pont's first innings, he got like 36. Not like he like destroyed the ball, but if nothing else, he showed the Australian bowlers, if they didn't know already, this guy's going to be a headache coming up. Absolutely. I also, like you gentlemen, I love this second episode. And again, a little controversy here. And I'm just saying, like, this is a match that India won. It was a little better episode. I'm just saying what's going on here. But they did a great job with this episode. The pacing was fantastic. The drama was fantastic. The music, everything was just great in this episode. You guys, Gabe's long title there, we got to add featuring Ashwin and Mohammad Siraj, baby, because we got the debut, the debut, if you will, of Mohammad Siraj, Lord Siraj, and man alive, this is when I fell in love with Mohammad Siraj. I think I did a video on him like the next day after this match or something like that. I absolutely love it. I love his story. And still, in 2 episodes, he mentions that his father died before the tour started, but did he mention once how tough it was? Did he mention, I'm sure it was, but he didn't use it at all. He was so excited to be there. And I think in reading articles at that time, it's what his father wanted for him most. So there was nothing as far as bad, ill feelings there. But he didn't use that as any kind of excuse to, this is maybe why I may not do well. He was hungry. He wanted to go out there. And I loved how he didn't get his chance in that whole first session. And he's like, okay, I'm sure I'm going to be this guy's partner. Oh, I'm definitely going to be this guy's partner. No. We want Boomer to instill the fear into the hearts of the Australian batsmen. But once he got his opportunity, I mean, you can't watch that and not feel like a proud dad of some kind because he's a young kid getting his opportunity to play Test cricket in Australia, and he did beautifully. I loved his thoughts. But again, Rahane is the man with Tim Paine as far as narrating and talking about this. But Ashwin, like Ozjod said, he steals the show. This guy said 500 to 600 hours of Australian cricket he watched before this tour. And again, like I mentioned, the first episode review, is it any wonder he's successful? Like Aja, I'll let you talk about it a little bit more in depth using your cricket knowledge and vernacular, but how he set up the field there. What did he call it? He called it like a short leg, and then he called like a mid leg or something like that. I don't know what the
basically a second short leg, a second short leg that was just behind square rather than
it wasn't even a slip, but it was kind of right there closer.
Yeah.
And he gets Tim Paine right. I wonder if Tim Paine even knew he had this, this tendency to do it. But with all those 100 hours, and I'm sure he had some help. I'm not saying he got all the credit, but maybe he did. He figured this out. And then that celebration he gives where he's just like, I told you, in the hands, because that would have just fallen between the two guys, the fielders. Right. I absolutely love that. And that's why Ashwin is so awesome.
Let me piggyback a little bit on what you just said right there, Nick. Again, Ajinkya Rahane, the day he saved Test cricket for India, because he brought him in. Why didn't your boy Siraj get the ball? Because he brought in Ashwin super early, like the 10th over, right? And even Australia was like, what's going on? And threw them off.
He had a reason for it.
And he said, the Kookaburra ball, is good. Is nice and hard still for the first, 40
overs or so,
40 overs or so. And then after that, you know what I mean? It's going to be a batsman's paradise. So we wanted to take advantage of Ashwin before that, use his overs up there so that he doesn't get pumped later. Again, I listen, the fact that the reporter asked the question at the end means everybody was thinking it. And you and I have mentioned it before. I love Virat Kohli. I love his passion. I love his fire. But captaincy just may not be what he's suited for. I did think it was funny, though, when he's like, we lost the toss again. India can't win. Nobody can win a toss in India, for the love of Pete.
There was a bad spell.
Is it a two-sided coin? Did they check the other side of the coin? I'm just asking. But as far as man, you talked about it, how prepared 400 to 500 hours of cricket. He even knew where Tim Paine likes to drag every time he goes in, and like that shows you it's not just skill. All right, it's not just luck; it's preparation, and that's honestly the difference between your average athlete and then your superstars. How much preparation they put into it.
You can tell. Sorry, I don't know if anyone's going to talk, right? So I love the fact that you can see the strategy behind Rahane's thinking about bringing Ashwin in. Then Ashwin's thinking about how to get Steve Smith out again, how to bowl on this particular track at that particular moment, because it's a harder ball, right? You're not going to bowl the same kind of flighty deliveries that you do with the softer ball. You have to bowl slightly differently. And when Siraj is warming up and Rahane's like, I saw him. I was like, no, I'll do that later. I'll do it after lunch. And he went up to him. Even he probably saw that, he's probably a little deflated that he didn't get a chance in this first session. He's like, next session is yours. You bowl as much as you want. Next session is yours. You're going to kill it. But I'll give you 40 minutes. This lunch is your time to prepare, right? To see what you can do in Test cricket. And he bowled spectacularly well. Him and then Bumrah's just Bumrah, right? Bumrah is just amazing. Picked up 4 wickets in this innings. Ashwin picked up 3. And just on the point of you talking about Ashwin, the way he set up the field, not just for Smith, not just for Paine, just for every single batsman that he saw. Because it wasn't that he saw 600 hours of just a player. He saw 600 hours of the entire Australian team batting over the course of I don't know how many years with these particular players. So I loved how strategic, how much he planned or prepared for this particular match. Because losing players like Kohli, losing players like Mohammad Shami, you're genuinely a man and a half down, right? Already with the likes of the brilliance that has been Kohli.
And then you lose Umesh early on, right?
Exactly. And you lose a lot more than just Umesh in this series. But definitely you lose players consistently, right? And catches win matches. Yes, we know that phrase. But in this one, do you remember that catch Jadeja took running
Yeah.
back and Shubman Gill was going to collide with him or something?
Right.
Yeah.
And Jadeja's like, what are you doing? It's
Today's
me.
like, it's me. I got this. You know what I mean? What are you doing? I love it. I love it.
Absolutely loved it. And then did you just something that I thought of in terms of DRS? Did you like Ashwin's?
I was just gonna bring it up. Ashwin, you are the man, baby. Amen. That's all I want to say. Amen.
You know what? He's so honest, and I absolutely love it. Like, are you kidding me? There's no way. He said you'd have to stand 2 Australians or whatever he said, stack them on top of each other's shoulders for that to miss. Are you kidding me? Like, yes, he even said something to the fact where players have often, debated how accurate that DRS is. Because are you serious? And I love Ashwin for that and being honest, dude. Something else I was going to think about. And later on, we see the difference. People don't give Boomer enough credit. And here's why. Not only is Boomer the best bowler in the world, but Boomer also mimics what Australia does in that he bullies players. All right. Boomer will beat you up. I still remember the spell that Boomer had against Jimmy Anderson. R.I.P. Jimmy boy. Oh, Jimmy, that was bad for him out there. I was like, please. Like, he was intentionally bowling no balls just to get another one at him. And Boomer's got that kind of mentality where I'm going to make you pay. And again, spoiler alert, we already know Mohammad Siraj went out with a broken arm. Oh, okay, no problem. I'm going to light you up. And Boomer was lighting people up. You see how moving down the road, once Boomer's out, there's a lot less fear. Like, what? Boomer's not in? Oh, no, we're really going to start beating people up. And people are getting lit. Pujara, honestly, should have gone down to the Australian ministry and filed out paperwork for assault, bro.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that 13 bouncer in another episode. But to your credit, Rahane said I had to do 4 or 5 over spells because I just had to keep him in there because I had to rotate him sooner rather than the 8 or 10 over spell. If you're going to go that far, I'm not sure they would, because he wanted to do that. But with Ashwin, I mean, this guy's got some stones because he says it seems like the ball tracker was in favor of the Australian. Every single time it went against us, And we didn't mention, also, I didn't mention this in the first episode, but he's still chapped about the review that overturned a wicket from the first match or whatever. He's like, okay, that wasn't a wicket, whatever. But I absolutely love what he had said because he's right. It's that ball tracker technology. Like, where does it come from? And it's just, it's a thing of beauty, what he said. Getting to Gabe's. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in terms of the Hawkeye or the ball tracking, right? And we saw it. It was David Warner's wicket sometime, like within the series, where it was hitting like leg stump or missing fourth stump, and they gave it out or something like that. I don't remember what exactly happened. So there are still issues with the technology, which is unfortunate. Right. But I do agree with him in the sense that Gabe mentioned 2 bowlers that he talked about were West Indian bowlers, who are both 6'6", 6'7". So he said
Curtly
if you stack
Ambrose,
both of them,
that's what he mentioned. Curtly Ambrose
and Curtly Walsh, and it's like if you stack them together, the ball still wouldn't have bounced over the stumps. I think from the naked eye, I understand what he's talking about, but the technology is going to be very fair to anyone whose country the match is playing in. So I'm not going to say what.
How would it not? I mean, in baseball, we have a thing called an official scorekeeper. And if it's like a questionable call, whether it's a hit or an error, they go to the official score. And it's supposed to be some neutral third party, but it usually always benefits the home team or whatever. I absolutely understand that. What I wanted to get to, because Gabe's been alluding Rahane, and again, Aja and I mentioned a lot about Rahane, our love for him in this whole series from the first episode, and it did not change in the second episode. I love how they built up the drama. How do you bounce back after 36 all out, where you've lost 2 really, really good players? One, the at that time, the standard in Test cricket as far as the batsman goes. And how do you recover? Well, you do it the way he did it by getting that century in that first inning. I still remember that century. I didn't watch it live, but I remember following and watching the highlights. That was the most, you bounce back from the run out situation. He gets that century. I think it eases everyone. Cause again, in that first innings, 36 all out, let's get past that 36 mark. And man, do they get over it. And then I'll let you guys talk about the 100 and how it impacted you and what you saw. But I love also how it ended. This time it was Jadeja that got him run out, right?
Again.
And he was in that same situation. Exactly.
Rahane
Captain, 2 games in a row, gets run out by an opposing, by a veteran batsman too, not some new scrub or whatever. But he was just in that situation. And Jadeja felt horrible. Jadeja, don't worry about it. You just go get it. And man, did Jadeja go get it. But what are your thoughts about Rahane in that whole situation? Because that is ultimate class right there. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first if that's all right. So the way he talked about his innings, he was like, I thought to myself that there was a small partnership I had with Vihari, right? When Pujara got out, I was a small partnership with Vihari. Then we saw what Rishabh Pant can do. He scored 29 of 36 or 35 deliveries, something like that. So then Jadeja came, and I was like, I had small partnerships, but with Jadeja, I thought, let me get at least another 50-run partnership, and we'll look at 10-run blocks. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, that's what it looked like when I was watching this innings. I was like, that's what it looks like, that he's thinking, oh, let's get to 10 runs, then let's get to 20, let's get to 30, and try and look at that innings like that. And he got a century, well-deserved century. It's the fact that he waited until his 82nd run to play a cut shot. Okay, that just blew my mind. Number one, how in the world do you remember that you were on 82 2 years ago and you got a wide ball and you played it for a cut and you got 4, and then that made you feel really good inside? That blew my mind. But it was just the way he described the feeling of getting that century after being down and out. I was saying, why is he even the side? But then he's captain. I was like, okay, what's he gonna do? Is he going to step up? And step up he did. He stepped up in the field with the bowling changes with the team he selected. Got Australia bowled out under 200, I think he said, right?
Yeah,
195, and then batted like an absolute boss. You saw the change in mindset. There was new players. You saw Shubman Gill in this side, right? And the way Shubman Gill played in this innings as well was quite extraordinary. It wasn't that many runs, but he didn't have the baggage of 36 all out. He had the baggage of KKR, unfortunately, right? And he just played. He played his shots.
It was his debut too,
right?
And he was calm.
So he was calm, cool, and collected, which is exactly what Rahane is. And he just addressed it into each individual player. So I thought Rahane's innings was just outstanding. It was exactly what India needed at the time. And he settled it very well, because when Jadeja was being aggressive or Pant was being aggressive, he was still taking his time. It was like, I need to stay here. I need to go. Doesn't matter if I'm going to 30 strike rate, 40 strike rate, 50, whatever it is. But these guys are going to play aggressive shots, and I will be the one who will remain and then get the runs and then start scoring when I'm able to. So absolutely loved it. And then I love the Ravindra Jadeja thing that you did, Nick. Yeah. It was well done. Well done.
And I love how, sorry, Gabe, I love how the Australian players were like, and I feel like they were trying to say, like, I hate that crap. I hate when he does that crap. But they were talking like, Jadeja is going to drive you nuts. That was awesome.
That was, it's funny. Somebody who, so far in this series, I've grown to respect them even more as a fan of Australia, is Tim Paine. Because Tim Paine went through a lot of adversity personally, with his family. And, I get it. Tim Paine's no longer captain of Australia. Now that's Paddy Cummins. But here's the reality. Tim Paine took over this team after one of the darkest periods in Australian cricket, right? And the whole sandpaper gate garbage. And he was able to bring this team back to respectability to the point where, and I think Rahane mentions it, they thought we were going to go, 6-0 out. And I'm like, what do you mean 6-0 out? You know what I mean? Like, they thought we were going to get whitewashed in this series or whatnot, because Australia had been playing that good. All right. Tim Paine got them to the point where they did 36 all out India. Now, obviously, it took some unbelievable performances by India. He mentions that in this, like, look, these guys are deep. Their depth is their strength. You know what I mean? We lose 1 or 2 players, we're in trouble. They are deep. And he already knew, like he was saying, like, look, I don't know why Rashid Pant didn't play that first game. I've seen this guy back. He's a monster. He can absolutely mash. He can give us fits. And Tim Paine was giving them credit, and he's like, look, it's not so much that we lost the game. They came out and took it. You know what I mean? A lot of teams after 36 all out would just lay down. They did not lay down. There's something in that Indian spirit that, they play best when their backs are to the wall. They play best after, to rise to that adversity, and credit to him. And then he even took the loss almost on his shoulders and said, if anybody let the team down, it's me, because they set me up for a trap that I knew was there, and I did it anyway. Like, why? And he even said, I said to myself, why did I try to push the ball there? I saw it there. Like, what, I saw them setting the trap, but I couldn't help myself. And again, sometimes players have tendencies, and it's one of the things where I like that kind of accountability. He didn't put it on Patty Cummings. He didn't put it on, Mitchell Stark. He didn't put it on anybody else. Nathan Lyon, guys that, gave up a lot more runs than they usually do get pumped. He put it on himself as a captain. And that's what captains are supposed to do, man. So I earned a lot of respect for him, coming out and saying, no, that was on me. That loss was on me. As a kid, on the one side, you got a skipper who's giving you a captain's knock, right? Special thing at SCG. And then you've got me who doesn't help my team. I forgot what he got out for, but I'm expected to go out there and perform and deliver like I did in that first test match in Adelaide, and I didn't. So, good on you. Sometimes, being that bigger man is important as well. Being able, your team will respect you that much more when you admit, yeah, you know what, I messed up.
One thing we haven't mentioned, because it was in the first episode, at the very end, is where he tells his story a little bit. He says, I was at Tasmanian Cricket and I couldn't bat to save my life. And I got offered a job. I think it was Kookaburra or something like that. They offered me a job to work for them, like their company, and quit cricket. And I accepted it. And it was my coach that had to talk me out of it and said, no, you got more cricket in your, just calm down. And that was before his selection to the national team. So he was that close to just quitting altogether. And so his story is quite phenomenal. And he did a lot, I feel, for Australian cricket in his few years that he was there. Now, I have one final thought on this episode, and you guys can share your final thoughts. And it's kind of a negative, it's kind of a downer, but this is what I was honestly thinking when I'm watching this, and I'm seeing the two solid innings bowled by India in the second match, bouncing back from whatever. They lost to Umesh Yadav. It's okay. We got, Vihari if we need him. I don't think he bowled the ball. But the thing I liked was India still had a bowling identity. They were not afraid to take anyone's wicket. They had the strategy, but they also had the moxie to go after guys, to try to beat them at their weaknesses. They had an identity, and it showed in this second match. And it's something that I feel is lacking for the Indian test side, international side, all over, really. What is their bowling identity? I don't know. Because if you don't have Bumrah, if you don't have Bhuvi in limited overs, it's like they have no identity, and it's really frustrating. There's so many different moving parts, injuries, this or that. I want India to go back to figure out what is their identity. Because even though in this tour, as we're going to watch, they went through a lot of bowlers, it seemed like they were still not afraid to take those wickets when they needed those timely wickets. And that is something that I think is sorely missing. And it's not all the bowlers' fault with India right now, but they just need to have that more dominant presence. But those are my final thoughts. Love this episode.
I think my final thoughts on this episode are the announcer was mentioning it. And I forget who's the guy that's also doing the narration, but he said there's something about the Indian spirit that, India never attacks first, but once they're attacked, they retaliate. And when they retaliate, it's usually very, very fierce. There's something in the DNA, you know what I mean? And it's almost weird to say, but I don't think India wins this series if 36 all out doesn't happen, because they needed that fire that, they talk about reading it in the paper and the headlines 36 all out at the beginning of this episode and how they're all getting trashed. And, Rahane was ticked. We say, always say, professional athletes, they don't read the headlines. They don't read Twitter. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And these guys are thin-skinned, because he even says something to the effect of, what is everybody Australian astrologers now? All the writers are certainly astrologers. They know what I'm going to do. I've been struggling, so now captaincy is just going to make me struggle more. Like, he was ticked about it, and the whole team was ticked about it. Like, look, we got to bounce back from 36 all out. And sometimes, you know what I mean? You've got to fall so that you can get back up. You know what I mean? That whole, why do we fall? So we can pick ourselves back up. In Rocky, he goes in Rocky 2. Is it Rocky 2? I think it's Rocky 2, when he gets dropped and he's like, I'm not going down no more. Like, all right, that's it. Once you get to that point where I've hit my lowest, what else can happen to me? I got no fear in my heart. And even Ashwin said, like, look, I'm gonna come out there. And when he was batting, they were beating him up a little bit. And he said, I'm going out there and I'm willing to die out there. I'm willing to lay it all out on the line. But you have to have that mentality where, I've got nothing to lose, so I'm gonna go and fight. And the only way you can get to that point is when you've hit that rock bottom. And to your point, Tim Paine, close to walking away from cricket to take a job with Kookaburra, right? Like when you hit rock bottom or whatever, and you hit that adversity, that's what I think makes you a champion and prepares you to be a bigger winner. You've got to hit that adversity, because if you've never struggled in life, then honestly, how much have you really achieved? You know what I mean? That's always my point. If it's always easy for you, if it just comes, you've never struggled at all, then really, you know what I mean? Like, what have you achieved? Struggle at some point. Let's see what your real character is then. So I think that was something that really stood out to me from this second episode. I love this second episode. And man, I can't wait for the rest of the series.
And you guys have already mentioned everything I could possibly mention, but something I just remembered while Gabe was talking, the Rahane was not fit at the start of the day too. He said,
back problems. Yeah.
My back problem. I woke up at 2:30. I didn't get to sleep till 4 or 5. I didn't get many hours, and then he came out and got a century. Then got 100. Like that just tells you the mental strength, the physical strength, and how easy it was for him when he got on the field to just ignore all the distractions from the tweets and the journalists and the astrologers and us, right? Me, right? Saying Rahane can't do anything, right? So exactly that. And he went out and scored 112, right? Yeah. He talked about something that I remembered while you were talking as well, Gabe, again, was that he attacked Nathan Lyon because then the fast bowlers would come out to bowl and then they would get tired quicker because Nathan Lyon was getting attacked more. So it was a brilliant cycle, the way he was thinking about the game. It seems very logical, but you don't hear people say it very often. And he was just talking about it in such detail. It was great. It was great. So yeah, genuinely only seen 2 episodes so far. So my best episode so far. And when I watched the test matches, I don't recall this as well. So it was really good to get the memories back and thinking, yeah, this was a brilliant victory. And India genuinely, with the Yadav injury and then Siraj picking up 3 on debut in the second innings, it was just great. So very well timed, and you have to be hit and be thrashed to be able to come back like India did. And the reason why this series is called the BAP of all fightbacks, BAP means father, right? So the father of all fightbacks, that's basically the slogan. So, and I resonate with it. It definitely is. And the way they came back in this match was just outstanding.
Since Nick wanted to shorten up my title from earlier, maybe we're going to change this from the day Rahane saved Test cricket for India to Chess Master, a Queen's Gambit. Because the guy seriously is a chess master. He sets up the moves and he's out thinking you 3. Again, I forgot about that. The reason he attacked Nathan Lyon was so that they said, whoa, let's back up on Nathan Lyon and bring out the fast bowlers is going to tire them out quicker. All right. Again, bringing in Ashwin in that 10th over, realizing, hey, the Kookaburra ball is going to be hard until about 35, 40 or over. Let me get him out of the way now so that I don't have to worry about his overs later on. Everything was methodically planned. The guy plays chess. There you go, Nick. I'll shorten it for you. Chess Master or Queen's Gambit, whichever one. You pick the title. But that's what the guy did. He went and outthought, unfortunately, the other captain.
I love, I lied. This is my last thought. I love some of the insights we got into the match. First of all, Shubman Gill's batting, and they had that look of Nathan Lyon turn his head around like, who the heck is this guy? Kid? Right? How did he get that shot off me? The shots were like they weren't dropping it, the Australian fielders, but the balls were landing like right in front of the guy in the slips. Or that one great shot where it went right between Steve Smith and Tim Paine, and they both looked at it like, oh man, it's right there. Those were some fantastic shots. You guys are absolutely right. And last but not least, I love how they had to chase a short total, and Rahane goes up to Gill, or Gill goes up to Rahane and says, like, you just sit back, I'm going to score runs. No, I'm going to score runs too. Let's both just score some runs. And I love that, because that's like not what you want to do. Let's protect our wicket. No, let's go ahead and put a stamp on this match. Absolutely loved it. Maybe they wanted an extra day off. Maybe they had some hot pockets in the microwave. I have no idea. But it was absolutely fantastic. Thanks for watching this. stick around, or actually go to Cricket 4S 2.0 in the near future to check out our review for episode 3, and then you'll come back here for episode 4 not too much longer after that. Please don't forget to like and subscribe at both channels. Let us know what else you want, both of us, either of us, whatever, to check out. And with all that being said, until next time.
That's 6 runs.
Bye.